I don't know, because there's probably going to be niggas.
It's a community thing. It's a community event.
I'll probably come in like a lazy gym place so I can...
I'll
probably lift if anything. But I'll be there. I'll text you.
But that's the idea of it. Like, I want the community to be about like-minded individuals. And so it doesn't matter what background you come from, you're going to need to know how to work out. And so for me, the product that I'm creating, which is the Gloves and Gains method, it is the perfect blend between fighting and self-defense, right? The perfect blend of strength and conditioning, the perfect blend of like strategic bodybuilding, but then also understanding how to eat correctly to fuel all those things where you don't feel like you're dieting. So now if you work a 9 to 5, you're like, I got to keep the main thing, but how do I efficiently make sure that I still work out? If you're a fighter, and we're talking about like where you're not a pro, where you're signed with Top Rank, where they're taking you to strength and conditioning, you have your own chef, you have all these things, right? You're thinking to yourself, I gotta lift, I gotta work out, right? Because if I'm gonna be a good pro, I gotta lift, I gotta go ahead and work out. I gotta eat right. But then also when I'm not with my coach, because my coach has to make money as well, he can't only train me because I'm not that high level pro just yet, and I can't pay him like that, right? Now you're thinking to yourself, what do I need to do to work out on my own? Because me seeing my coach once a day, if I'm trying to be a pro fighter, you're already behind everybody else because they're working out 2-3 times a day and they got a chef. Like the money that Top Rank puts behind its fighters, bro, you got a coach, you got a strength and conditioning coach, you got a chef, you got all these people who are just giving this stuff to you for free, even if it's not needing to be paid for, because there's a return on their investment. But when you work a 9 to 5, like, bro, I'm not coaching you for free. I gotta make my money too. And then now you go somewhere to try to get free meals. They're like, bro, who are you? We don't get anything for this. You got to pay us for it. So now what are you going to do? Okay, well, this is the way that you can be efficient with all these things. So now I understand that, but I also understand things from an awareness standpoint. Like, who's doing your film for you? Because if you're trying to be a low-level pro, you got to do your own marketing and advertising. Who's doing that for you? We got you. Oh, you want to make apparel? We got you. Like, and that's why I'm trying to hit it on all these levels. You know what I mean? So that's where we're at right now.
No,
I'll see, baby.
I'll
see, baby.
That's exactly the way I'm on right now.
I think I'm better at talking to the camera when I'm like talking to somebody and I'm like asking questions. So now, even with this being on camera as well, the thing about this is that when me and Frankie had a conversation, you weren't there, me and Frankie had a conversation this Saturday, and it was important for me to understand the only time that I'm okay with being in front of the camera is a lot of people don't even understand this. They're like, but you're on Instagram, you're on this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, I'm doing that because I understand that like business, you have to be, right? But realistically, I'm not on there like showing off my body. I'm not on there modeling all these things. I'm just really trying to go ahead and add value to the people that I can provide a service to, right? And so because of that, I've tricked myself to be like, I gotta at least be somewhat good on camera, right? And so now with Dark Gray, when we're trying to figure out how we're gonna market Dark Gray, you can't just market a product without having somebody be the face of the brand. So I, once pretty much it was like that way that I got checked off of it, where it's kind of like, I gotta stop being a scary ass, right? Excuse my French. I gotta stop being scary because how do I look you in the face, Nick, and go ahead and be like, yo, you got to be out there more on comedy in front of the camera, blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, like, you got to be doing the same thing, but you not. Don't look at me and tell me I need to be doing it. Now I'm telling a low-level, like, pro for a hooper, right? Because that's one of the reasons why athletes don't get to where they need to get to. They either get injured, right? They either don't have the IQ, and they don't have the awareness. Well, if you're LeBron, you got the IQ, you got the awareness, and you're gonna find a strength and conditioning coach who makes sure you don't get injured. Obviously, by the grace of God, you don't want those things to happen. It's just whatever happens, happens, right? But if you can kind of like protect those things a little bit better, you have a higher chance, right? Well, if you're not that good, you for sure probably don't have awareness. And if you're not that good, you probably don't know how to have injury prevention, right? So if I can help you with the strength and conditioning and give you that, if I can go ahead and help you with the awareness portion of it, right, and teach you how to do it, my business needs awareness too. What do I look like not doing it for me? So now it's like I got to get in front of the camera the same way I'm gonna tell you to get in front of the camera. But the good news about it is that I'm always down to be the guinea pig. So you can look at what works and doesn't work, and then you can go ahead and step on my neck to go ahead and get to where you want to get to. Because I'm gonna be good. I get to do this. I get to do what I love on a day-to-day basis by the grace of God. You know what I mean? So like, why not? So this is kind of like the final form of putting that all together, right? So like when I messaged you about it, right? So when we're talking about pretty much like the Gloves and Gains method anyways, right? I said that It's strategic bodybuilding. It's strategic strength and conditioning from an athletic standpoint, but it's also strategic boxing and efficiency, right? But it's also fun nutrition on top of all that, right? So what happens is, if you like boxing, you don't like looking like a fool, right? In order to not look like a fool boxing when you go to boxing classes, you probably got to hire a private boxing coach. Okay, so now I got to hire a private boxing coach, and then what am I going to do for my workouts? Because more likely than not, that private boxing coach doesn't understand strength and conditioning, right? So now you got to go to a strength and conditioning coach. Strength and conditioning coach only knows how to put you in positions, but not how those positions technically apply to your specific sport. So now you're getting strong at the sake of no coordination and reps to what you're actually trying to get better at, right? Okay, so now you do bodybuilding. After a while, that stuff gets kind of old. Bro, I'm tired of doing 3x12 for squats. Like, what do I do next? And so unless you're a professional bodybuilder and this is your job, you're gonna get burnt out. So it's like, how can I get all those things taken care of efficiently so I can keep the main thing the main thing? Well, I'm an active boxing coach, active basketball coach, active strength and conditioning coach, active nutrition coach. So why not give you guys the sauce and put that all into one thing so you can just go on your way, right? So that's pretty much why the gloves and gains method was made, right? But now, how do I deliver it? How do I build a community where I hold everybody accountable? And so what I was letting you know is that, okay, I probably got to be in your face more. So now we have a weekly newsletter that explains what the upcoming week looks like. And this is for all 4 phases. So you have athletes, you have fighters, you have men, and you have women, right? So now you think to yourself, okay, the men's program is going to be slightly different, the fighters program is going to be slightly different, and the women's program is going to be slightly different. So now I go to them and I'm like, hey, here's your newsletter for what the week is going to look like. This is how you should fuel yourself according to what the week looks like. And this is what our workouts are going to be. Here you are. It's trackable for you. And it has all the links to the tutorials for the videos if you don't know how to do it yourself, right? And so now I'm checking in with you guys where I know firsthand, because I'm doing the workouts too, where it's kind of like, hey, we're at week 3 of this. You might be slowing down. Week 3 is when, hey, like you're dieting and you're trying to get lighter. This is where you're going to start feeling it a little bit, but you got to stay the course. You got to stay the course because you need those reps in to go ahead and lose the weight like you need to, because you're a fighter that needs to make weight. You're a bodybuilder that needs to make weight. You're an athlete that needs to make a certain weight. You're good. If you're not any of those people, why are you worried about the scale that much? You're more so concerned about how you look. So it's a community where we're all kind of like on board, where it's like, these are the resources to go ahead and get to where you need to get to, and we go from there. But I'm doing it too. So now daily I'm checking in with you guys. So it's all going back to like, what's the most efficient way I can help you where I guarantee your success? Well, if you're new to this, I need to be on you. I need to like watch you. I got to hold your hand through it until you know it enough where you're like, nah, coach, I got this. Bet, but still practice on your own. You get a year access to it if you choose to go ahead and do a year access. Now you're like, oh shoot, like, how did I do that again? How do I calculate my macros? So not only am I walking you through it, I'm teaching you how to be self-sufficient and self-reliant. And I'm just leading you back to the source. Because that's how I was taught. Like my mom told me from the jump, like you're the solution to any problem. Because you have the solution anyways, which is the source, which is God. So what are we doing? So what do I look like not extending that? I don't need you guys to keep coming back to me for the same answer, I need you to figure out your solution. Let me just kind of streamline it for you. But along the way, I want to make sure that you don't fall by the wayside. Does that make a little bit more sense as far as for kind of how it works? So now at this point, as far as being recorded, it's like, how do I market that? And me being live recording this is like me figuring out marketing, because even though I coach all these different things and I understand they all work the same way, like it takes a burden of proof for you to find out what that thing that translates to the same thing. And this is the live performance of me trying to figure that out. So that way I can duplicate this now and go and help somebody else to do the same thing. It's just all the same thing. And this is kind of like where we're at right now. Yeah.
Figuring out how to
Blend them and mix them together is like, that's what. And so if we think about this, if like I were to boil down what if I get a better, more linear, streamlined way to explain what the gloves and gains method is again, right? Strategic bodybuilding, strength and conditioning, fun nutrition, and boxing. which is a form of self-defense, right? And so now that's the 4 pillars to how I teach people to go ahead and get in shape and stay in shape, right? Now, in order to build the community where we have an amount of people that don't fall by the wayside and make sure that that method sticks, it's like this is the community now where it's kind of like we're all holding each other accountable. It's going to be 6 weeks that we're doing a training program and a training split. And we're all close to the same training split or program because hip thrusts work for women the way that hip thrusts work for athletes. You need to build your posterior chain, right? The only difference is for the most part, women want to be more curvier. So what are we going to do? We're going to change the sets and reps for them. Instead of doing a 3x5 with a high intensity, which is a high weight, let's go and have you do 3x12 with a little bit lighter weight because we're working on hypertrophy, which is you growing the actual muscle. 3x5 rep range is you being stronger because as an athlete, you need to be stronger and you need to be able to use your posterior chain more efficiently than like having it look like your posterior chain works. It's the reason why a power lifter looks like he's less strong than a bodybuilder, but he's actually stronger. Because how you build a muscle and how you make a muscle stronger, they're slightly different. But you can still use the same exercises. So now it's the same thing from an eating standpoint. Okay, well, how do I need to eat to have less body fat and more muscle, right? Well, when you're an athlete, that's not always the best thing for you because you may need more fat as an athlete to perform. It's the reason why a long time ago they had like a research that they did on Troy Polamalu, and it was like he performed worse when he was at a lower body fat percentage than he was at a higher body fat percentage. And that's why you're like always like sore all the time because you're in a caloric deficit. If I'm an athlete and I'm not tracking my scale weight, I don't need to be in a caloric deficit because it's about how I perform. But we can still use the same exercises, right? So now it's like still within that community, I can go ahead and say, yo, athletes today, one, you're not even in a caloric deficit anyways. You're just trying to perform the best in the gym. And it's hard to perform the best in the gym if you don't have the proper fuel. Okay. Oh, you're trying to lose weight? Okay, you got to be in that caloric deficit. And whatever you feel during that workout, we're going to try to make you feel the best, but you still have to get through this workout because we want to make sure that you look really good, right? But that's different from an athlete standpoint. But I can still put you on bench press. I can still put you on hip thrusts. I can still have you do slightly athletic workouts, right? So it builds that. So that's where we're at right now with this. But you had a question? Okay, so pricing, even off of this, because we're building a community, there's 3 pricing structures that we have, right? One of the pricing structures is if you just want the 6-week like training program, right? We would just go ahead and do $50 for that. But you're just joining for the 6 weeks and you're still part of the community and you still, everything's hands-on for you, right? But that's only for the 6 weeks. And then now when you want to get back into another 6-week program, you can go ahead and do the $50 once again. The other thing that you can do, and what I suggest, is the year access, right? And so the year access off of that now is you're looking at $600, right, for the year, right? But every single time that we have a 6-week workout, you're on it already. You don't have to pay the $50. But then also you have access to the resources as well. So if we have exercise library, you get access to that. Recipe library, you get access to that. Drill library for the boxing stuff, you have access to that. The film studies that we do, because I'm an active boxing coach, so I still do film studies on actual boxing and then hoopers as well. Like, you have access to that. Any course that we add throughout the year, you have access to that with no additional cost. And you have access to the community as well. So that's going to be the $600 price, but that's for the entire year, right? Now, the other one is fully customizable, right? So, for example, we need to figure out exactly what your macros are for you. We need to adjust your workouts after 6 weeks, right? So if we're working on strength for 6 weeks, now we get into something else for you. So that's going to be $1,200 for the year. So obviously, the more hands-on we need to be, the more it's going to go ahead and cost for you. But we have those 3 pricing points where it's like $50 for the 6 weeks, $600 for the year, or $1,200 for everything for being fully customizable. But that's like where we're at for the pricing. Yeah, so all sessions will be group sessions, right? They are group, but the efficiency of that is I'm still hands-on. And the efficiency with the group setting is that you can wean off, right? And the other thing about this is this is balance in your schedule, right? So if I work a 9 to 5, or if I have a sport where I'm in season, I don't get the opportunity to have a coach the same time of the year every single day, right? Because, for example, if I work a 9 to 5, this is not my main thing. So if I go on vacation, I shouldn't like lose track of how to stay in shape, right? So if I can coach you hands-on how to do things correctly, but then you also, more importantly, I could teach you how to teach yourself, now you're in complete control of your schedule. Where it's kind of like, yo, I can't make a 6 a.m. time slot to train, but I know I need to work out because I know the benefit it has to my life. I can't make a 5 p.m. training session because I'm getting late off of work. There's traffic. I won't make it in time to a training session, but I know I still need to work out today. Let me just go ahead and work out at home, or let me go ahead and work out at a gym closer to me, right? So the benefit of having those group sessions is I'm still hands-on with you, but I'm teaching you to teach yourself the same way that this program is, so you can be in complete control of your schedule and keep the main thing. Because if I'm a hooper and I gotta go to school in August, right, and practice with my team, you don't get to work out with me. But you understand the benefit of like what the strength and conditioning does on your own, so that way it helps in season. Same thing for fighters, same thing as far as for athletes, everybody. Just has you be more in control of your schedule. Okay, so that's perfect that you brought that up. So I'm new to it, but I think this is the perfect time as far as for, and I think this is really cool to see as well because this segues into the narrative of me, right? A lot of people think that I have everything together for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why that is, but I'm probably like the most broken person there is, right? And what I mean by that is I don't have anything together, right? So we get to see on camera like how we're trying to figure out the best way to get this done. Because I did start a Discord, and my assumption is that's the easiest way for us all to communicate. But that's just my assumption. I need to actually put pen to paper, or like I need to put like feet to ground. I need to play around with it, right? So is the Discord gonna work? Is that the best option for you guys? We gotta figure out. Should I just go ahead and go with the broadcast channel on Instagram and have that be the easiest way to communicate? What is the best way for us all to communicate to be able to get those questions answered as much as possible? Is it one live phone call a week? Like, I understand what the product is and I understand how I can be of value to you guys, but now when it comes to delivery of that, what's the best way to go ahead and do it? So we need to figure out, does Discord work? Does the Instagram broadcast channel work? We're already going to be doing the newsletters and the daily emails, but I want a quicker answer to your guys' question and figure out how to do that in a community standpoint. So like, does Discord work for you? Does IG work for you? Like, I just want to hear off the top of your head, like what would be the best way for you to ask me questions to get me be able to answer it in one setting as fast as possible? Okay, so here's the cool thing about that, and that's perfect to touch on as well because the idea of community is so important in the first place. It's the reason why, what does it say? The devil attacks a person that's alone, right? And then it takes a community to build things up, right? So it's like one of those things too, like as we're working on this new thing that we're not so secure with, it does go ahead and take accountability. And it does take as far as for a team building you up. And that's the reason why I wanted to do this as well, because now it's like I said in the beginning, as far as I want to hold your hand as long as I need to hold your hand, and then kind of like put invisible boundaries on so you can figure out that like, no, I know how to do this on my own. Until now you have that burden of proof in yourself and that confidence where you're like, no, I do know how to do this on my own, right? I got it now. So right now for the Discord, the topics or the channels that I have, is I have just general, so that way I could just put random stuff in there for you guys. I have ladies, I have fellas, I have boxers, and I have athletes, and I have nutrition. So those are the different channels that I have. So that way any question that you guys have, if I put in there, I can put it where it stays, right? So that way you guys can always go back to it. So for both of you right now, Discord is kind of like the best option. I guess everybody else can comment as far as kind of like what their best option for them is as well. I think the best option is like in the description of this video, I'll drop the Discord link. So far, and then with the Discord link, I think at that point, if anybody wants to comment as well, like a better option than the Discord, put that below. Okay, so I spoke on it loosely, but the newsletter and the PDF is going to be trackable for you guys, right? And so with the newsletter and the PDF is going to be made so you guys can track your exercises and the weight. So that way in the 6-week program, as we either go up in like a rep or a set, you can go ahead and track it. But also in the email, it's going to have the links that you guys can click on to the tutorial videos for the specific workouts that we see. So like, for example, if I go to Nick, you might be able to go to it on your phone faster than I can. But if you go to the daily workout for, do you have it on your phone where it tells you the daily boxing workout?
From your side?
Yeah, do you have that link open? The best way to say it is for you guys, like, for like a daily boxing workout video, I have a particular warm-up that we do. And if I even just say it off right now, you would start with jump rope. You will go ahead and get into, that's gonna be one of the footwork ones. So you would jump rope, you would get into a footwork warm-up, which is side to sides, box pivots, shifts, circles. Then you guys will get into movement around the ring, or you would get into rhythm shots. As I list that, let's say that you don't remember how to do rhythm shots completely, I would have a link that leads to the tutorial for how to do the rhythm shots. Same thing as far as for how to do the shifts. Same thing as far as if we have a body bulletproof session 1, in that you're doing something called myo reps. I would have a link to how to do myo reps and what that means. If we're doing a lat pull down, I would have a link to the tutorial how to do the lat pull down. So even though in the PDF it will be listed in text how to do the workouts, it will have a link to tutorial for how to do the workout if you're not well versed in doing it on your own. And that includes the cues and everything as well. So does that make sense as far as for how that works? Okay, bet. So you guys can get a text version of it, so that way you can just look at it on your phone real quick. And as you get better at the routine, you don't have to worry about going to the videos to stop and do the tutorial. You just understand, okay, I have seated rows I have to do today. I remember how to do those from a myo rep standpoint. But if you forget, you can click on the link and be like, okay, this is the tutorial. This is how I'm supposed to cue to do it. Okay. Which is perfect as far as to that question, because now the question is as well, because there's 4 different groups that we're worried about, technically 3, where we have men, women, and we have athletes/fighters, right? Because the athletes and the fighters are pretty much going to train the same, because I'm not cornering anybody anymore for the most part, right? I won't be wrapping hands pre-fights. I won't be having any amateur fighters or any pros that I corner as a head coach. I'm now only a trainer, right? Which means that I can train you for your workouts, but I'm not going to be doing your 6 to 8 week camp. I'm not going to be cornering you, because that takes up too much time, right? The same way that I'm not going to actively be behind a bench for basketball from a coaching standpoint. I can train people, but I'm not being the head coach because that takes up too much time, right? So with those 3 breakdowns, when I send that newsletter, it's going to have what the week in review looks like. So for example, to be a specific example for you, if you have one of our hypertrophy workouts that we're doing on Monday, in that same Monday column, I would go ahead and give you what you should be doing for boxing for that day, and I would break it up, where it's kind of like, if you don't have time to do everything else, just do the warm-up. Just get through the jump rope, just get through the footwork, just get through the rhythm shots, because that's a form of conditioning as well for you, and that workout routine will still get you good at boxing. So now on another day, if you wanted to add more, I will go ahead and say that this is the combination that we're doing today from a boxing standpoint, where, hey, you have time to hit the bag or you have time to shadow box, like, let's work on this realistic combination, and this is how you would do it. Hey, this is the first thing that you need to be doing. You need to be doing this workout. You need to be eating this way according to this day. But instead of doing treadmill or instead of doing bike from a conditioning standpoint, do this boxing exercise, because it's going to hit both for you. Same thing for the men, where it's like, if we have a body bulletproof session that we're doing for that particular day, I would like, hey, instead of hitting the stairs, instead of hitting sprints, go ahead and do this boxing warm up, because it's going to make you get better at your footwork. It's going to make you get better at your positioning. And it's only going to take you 10, 15 minutes where you can still get better at those things and keep the main thing the main thing. Does that help as far as if we do it like that for you? Okay, that's perfect. And with that as well, it's going to be nutrition for the week, because with the 6 weeks, there's a bunch of different ways that you can eat. But as a community, we're going to decide where it's kind of like, if we vote on it, where it's like, yo, like, I'm rocking with hamburgers for this 6 weeks. I'm rocking with tacos for this 6 weeks. Or I'm rocking with like a pancake sandwich for this week. Well, my job is to go ahead and break down where it's like, what's the most efficient way we can do this from a calorie standpoint, where you still look good, but you're enjoying your food. But now when we get into the weekly grocery list, the grocery list has to be based on how would you make the pancake sandwich. You need groceries for that. Right? How would you make the hamburger? You need groceries for that. Okay, now based on what your weight is and your size is and how much you work out, well, this is the amount of ground beef you need to have. Like if you're trying to hit this amount of protein for a particular day, well, okay, well, you need 8 ounces of ground beef. Nick may need 6. This person may need 4. But you have a grocery list that embodies the meals that you're going to have the particular day. How much of the meal or how much ground beef you have is dependent on your size and whatnot. But I'm not going to give you 100 different options for your food for the week, because now it's paralysis by analysis, where you're like, I have too many options. Where it's like, no, you really don't eat like that. Because if you were to write what you eat on a week-to-week basis, it don't change that much. We be thinking that we eat everything and that like we have so much variety and choice, or we eat the same thing. We do the same things every single day. So that's why it's so easy to build a routine off of it. So like that way you'll have, okay, this is what your meal suggestions are for the week. This is what your workout suggestions are for the week. This is now back to, you can play around with it. I don't have time to hit the bag today, but I know I got to work out today. Let me just get through the footwork. I don't have time to do the workout today because I'm a boxer, I'm a fighter. I need to focus more on the skill, right? Because it doesn't matter how strong I am. If I don't know how to land a right hand properly, it don't matter. I'll never be able to hit a target. You know what I mean? Hopefully that helps too. So I think we got everything once again. So if we recap on what the Gloves and Gains method is, it's the perfect mix of strategic bodybuilding, athletic strength and conditioning, fun nutrition, and boxing. And because I have a background in all these things since 2008, I'm going to keep the main thing for you guys and make sure that we efficiently teach what we need for you guys to get better at all those things and get back what you need to do, which is your 9 to 5, spending time with your family. You're an athlete, you need to actually get back with your coach fighting. You're an athlete from a hooper standpoint, you need to get back with your coach working out. But all these things are made to amplify and keep the main thing while you still get good at this, because I understand the benefit of having your time back and keeping the main thing. But that's what the Gloves and Gains method is. And what you're seeing right now is how we build a community to all hold each other accountable and kind of be that brotherhood or that sisterhood, to make sure that we stay on base and that we only don't get to the goal, but we keep the goal. And we teach people and be of service along the way. But that's where we're at.